Number one, thank you so much for coming along. I'm with my good colleague Jimmy Ryan this morning and a couple of Work It Out people. I know Mel's here, Patricia's here, and Pauline's here as well. So this is really a very short 30-minute briefing session, and I'm going to cover for you, if I can, 3 key points. The first one is, what is Work It Out? The second one is to give you a flavor of the methodology or the approach that we use. And thirdly, to tell you and explain how we deliver it. So the very first thing to say to you is this is a completely different approach to careers, work, and life. So it's not a jobs program in that sense. It's for everybody. So we've already worked with business, community groups, we've worked in education, we've worked with people on their own. In fact, anybody looking to build their future. Work It Out is a program for everybody. And if there's any particular things that come up this morning that you want to follow up or chat about, given to you, relevant to your situation, then of course we're more than happy to do so. And the thing that we say to people right at the start is that it doesn't matter what your background or education is, just be determined and work together. And our process helps people to find work, to earn income, to help each other, to build their career and achieve what is important to them. And this all started way back in 2011 when we ran initial workshops, usually with around 100 to 200 people. And as you can see, they were always round table where people worked together. That was up in Middlesbrough in the northeast of England. That one's in Motherwell in Scotland. Again, there's around 200 people there in one of the large concert halls. And that was more recently in Clonmel. So over the last 8 years or so, Work It Out has developed from the initial book that I wrote in 2011 called Work It Out, big surprise. The half-day workshop then that ran for 3 years. We did about 100 of those in the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, and across the GB. And then as a result of all of that, people wanted more. They didn't just want the 3-hour session, they wanted to actually get working on the principles. And so we developed the 6-week process, and we piloted that in Banbridge and Newry and Dundalk and Clonmel in 2016 and 17. And then the Irish government then picked it up as a result of the Clonmel pilot, and they said, we would like to get you to test this over the next 3 years. So for the last 3 years, we've been running a series of programs in Carrick-on-Suir, Tipperary Town and Roscrea, and those have all been directly funded by the government. And our plan now in 2021, as we come into this, is to start to roll this out more widely. And just a note on COVID, COVID has effectively changed everything that, not just what we do, but the world does probably. And it's made Work It Out now accessible to everybody, provided they've got a computer or access to a computer. And that changes the whole dynamic of the way that we work and learn and develop and grow. So that's our plan over the next year or so. So Work It Out's about more than work. It gives you a framework for understanding the new way of work and for creating a life that suits you within that. It's not about chasing jobs. Work It Out shows you specifically how you can start to make this happen from the very first taster session that we run. And the next one of those is in January, and people can book on that now. Number 3, Work It Out enables you to work with others who will support you on the journey and look after you. So this is not something you come on your own and are stranded. And it gives you a platform for moving forward in all aspects of your life and not just work. So here's 10 points. And this is probably the most important slide that I'll read over to you today. So this covers effectively most of what we do. Number 1, we are a process, we're not a program. Work It Out isn't something you come on and learn and off you go and implement it. It's something that you come together with other people and experience and grow. Number 2, we concentrate on people's strengths and interests. So we're not trying to teach them an agenda or a curriculum or anything else like that, or tell them what they're no good at or what they need to learn. We are really interested in what their passions are, their interests are, what they're good at, and that's what we seek to build on. Number 3, we work together and we help each other. All of the people who come on Work It Out work in a complementary, not competitive way. Number 4, we share our skills and experience. So in other words, if you're good at something, we want you to share that with everybody else. And we've got a practical mechanism in our Zoom seminars for doing that. Number 5, We are kind. The world is really tough for many people at the moment. So kindness is at the heart of what we do. We don't know what people are carrying, so we have to look after each other in that sense. We're open to everybody. So we have people from 16 right up to 86 on the same program. We mix everybody together, whether they're business people, community people, teachers, students, unemployed, dads or mums at home, carers, whatever it happens to be. We mix them all up together because that is life, and that's how we learn. That's where the innovation, creativity, all of that comes from. And I don't know of any other programs that do things in that way. Number 7, we enable people to be in charge of their own development and focus on what's important to them. So everybody comes on this process with a different view. They want to get a job, they want to build their confidence, they want to start a business or build a business. They want to work out what the dickens is going on with their future and what they're going to do next year. They need to sort out income. Everybody is completely different, and this works for them as well. And we encourage and enable everybody to develop at their own pace, and we enable people to continue working with us. Sorry, I just let somebody in there. Okay. So that's the key principles, and we'll come back to some of that later on as we go through this. But let me tell you a little bit about the methodology or the approach behind all of this that makes this very unique. And the very first thing that we do when we meet people, and we would have done it by now, is that we get them to do their introductions. And when they're doing their introductions to each other, we ask them to answer these 5 questions. So have a quick look at these and just see if you can answer, just for, I'm not going to ask you, but just think of what your answers to some of these things might be. What's one thing you enjoy or are good at? What's something that you can make? What's your key passion or interest? What is one thing you could help other people with? And what's the main reason why you're here? So once we've done that, then we mix them all up and they all share their ideas, etc., etc. And the buzz is fantastic. But what happens here is, and the thing you'll have noticed as trainers and facilitators and managers and all the rest of it, is that these are all positive questions. We're looking for things that we can build on. We're looking for people to be able to talk about what excites them, etc. So again, right from the word go, we're harvesting what there's important to them and building on that. And these are the 17, I suppose you might call them curriculum or core points. We call it a roadmap that works at the heart of Work It Out. And I'm actually going to try and talk to you about some of these over the next 15, 20 minutes. So the introductions, what you really want to do, which is at the heart of all of this, creating work pieces. We talk about pick and mix, harvesting, how to uncover your strengths, what's your knitting, because we're all good at something. The upside down triangle, how we change the normal way that training is done. Dual responsibility, how we look after ourselves and each other. The way that we change our language and how that changes us. How we can think differently to create opportunities. The way we introduce ourselves. Why we need to write ebooks and we get people to write ebooks and publish them. How we manage what we call work pieces. And how we segment and monetize something we're good at. And how we build sustainable income from that as well. And how we can do something every day to keep control of everything that we do. So this is the roadmap that we work people through, at the initial workshop and then during the 6-week process. And many of the principles of Work It Out are entrenched in this. So we'll take a break for 2 seconds and I'll tell you a little bit about Mary's story. This is right at the heart of what we do. And this happened to me way back about 10 years ago. I was getting on the train from, it was Newry, where I was living at Warren Point up at the time, and I was traveling down from Newry to Dublin. It was for one of those enterprise type meetings. I was meeting Jimmy, and it was late at night in November. It was raining and pretty miserable in Newry station at that time. So I got on the train. I had my bag and my laptop and all the bits that you have for meetings back then. And as I got on the train, there was a young lady sitting opposite me, and I could see she was crying. So I put my things down and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "No, I'm not okay." So I said, "Look, well, what's happened or what's wrong?" And she said, "I've just had the worst day of my life." I said, "Right." She said, "I failed my driving test. I've got 2 rejections for jobs that I really wanted. I've got a £15,000 student loan, and I'm back home living with my parents in Belfast. And what's more, I'm going to Dublin for an interview tomorrow that I've no chance of getting. I said, right. And I said, well, what is it you want to do? She said, look, I just want to get a job. I did marketing at university. I want to just get started in any sort of marketing job. And this was the last recession. And I looked at her and I said, Mary, because I found out her name, I said, Mary, there are no marketing jobs. So forget the word job and tell me what it is you really want to do. And she looked at me properly for the first time and she said, you know what? She said, I'd love to open a clothes shop for older women. And I laughed because I don't know very much about clothes shops for older women. So I said to her, Mary, well, what would you need to do, you know, to start to make that happen? And she said, well, I need to think about styles. I need to think about suppliers. I need to think about whether it be a physical shop or an online shop. I need to think about whether I sell accessories like handbags and shoes. And I need to think about funding, etc., etc., etc. And her business brain was starting to click in. I said, okay. I said, could you be doing any of those things now? And she thought for a second. She said, yeah. And she said, I could be onto Google and checking out potential suppliers. I could be on eBay to see what the vintage styles are going for and what people are interested in at the moment. I could do a survey of my mum's friends to see what they thought of the idea. I could walk up and down my high street and see what gaps there are at the moment for women's clothes shops in the market. I could talk to the local funding bodies and the agencies, etc., about money. And her brain was buzzing. And I said to her, Mary, why don't you start doing some of those things? You can still resit your driving test. You can still apply for jobs. But in the meantime, you've taken control of where you are and what you're doing, and you can start to move that forward piece by piece. And she got it, and off she went. So she rang me 2 days later, and she just said, Des, just wanted to say thanks for the chat the other night, and to let you know that I got the job. And I laughed and said, okay, tell me what happened. She said, well, I went in to see the marketing director, and the interview went okay. And then at the end, he said to me, what's your ambition? What's sort of career are you interested in, or what do you want to do? And she said, oh, well, I'd like to get your job in 3 years' time. And he laughed and said, yeah, they all say that. But tell me seriously, what's your life plan? And she looked at him and she said, well, what I really want to do is to open a clothes shop for older women. And what I'm doing at the moment is I'm researching Google for potential suppliers. I'm looking at eBay in terms of vintage styles to see what the current trends are. I'm doing a survey of my mum's friends to see what they think of the idea. I'm talking to my local council and funding bodies about funding, etc., etc. And I'm walking and surveying my high street where I live to see where there are potential gaps in the market. Now, all of those things immediately tell the employer we have somebody who's motivated, ambitious, driven, organized, focused. And these are all the skills that employers are looking for. But more than that, they're the skills that we need to manage, grow, and survive in this modern world. And so often I'm asked by parents or funding bodies or whatever, go and talk to these people and see what they're doing. And the first question I always say to them is, what are you doing at the moment? And they always say, we're looking for jobs. And then I say, what else are you doing? And they all look at me as if I'm nuts and say, well, we're doing the CVs and we're online. And they have no plan. So the very first thing that we always say on Work It Out is, when you get to this part, is what would you really like to do? What would you like to achieve? What would you like to create? So this is way, way bigger than work and jobs and income and all of that. It's about your whole purpose, because I think we're only here once. So that's basically how we start. And then the work pieces that Mary just explained, we start to contextualize those. And, nowadays, it's not about applying for one job and then another. It's about building your core competencies, about building your pieces, about managing those pieces. We're all online now. We all have phones. We all have the potential to collaborate. We all have the potential to sell products and services online 24/7. And that's the mindset that we need to get into. And all the work pieces are there for us to choose, and people are already using them. From freelancing, selling online, relationships, writing, jobs, charity, part-time, hobby, etc., etc., etc. And part-time adult employment is dramatically shifting. across the world as people are starting to become much more adaptable. Home working or working from home now is changing all of this exponentially as well. Germany was way ahead of the curve 10 years ago with their mini jobs or work pieces, and that's the way that many people are now developing economies as well. So let me tell you one other piece of the methodology which is really important, and that's our pick and mix. I'll only go through a few of these, but pick and mix is your asset-based development. So essentially it's like a bag of sweets, and as you go through your life, you add all the time to your pick and mix. So your pick and mix are your skills, what you're good at, your knowledge, what you know, your experience, where you've been, your contacts, your relationships, etc. Every single day we're adding into this pick and mix. And as we grow through life, then we get to where we are now, and people think, well, what will I do next? What choices have I got? Will I do this, this, and this? And what they forget is that our future steps do not have to start from where we are now. We can actually dig into our pick and mix all the things that have happened to us over our lifetime and start to pull that out, or we call it harvesting. So we get people to dip into their pick and mix and get them to think about, what was I doing 3 years ago, and pull it out? What have been my greatest successes, and pull it out? And what's the sort of things that give me a buzz? What do I really enjoy? What actually makes me happy? And to pull that out. And so out of this, then we create lots of opportunities for people to think about what they can build on. So they've got their pick and mix on this side, which they pull out and harvest. And on this side, they've got their clothes shop for older women, or whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And we've got a pull and we've got a push. And that's the dynamic of work it out that works incredibly well for people. And we show them how to uncover their strengths. We show them how to use their core skill, whatever it is, to build that future. I'll not go through all these now. But I will mention the upside down triangle. The upside down triangle is the way that we normally work within an organization, or indeed on a training course. We expect the trainer, Des or Jimmy or Patricia or Pauline or Mel or whoever, to be at the top of this, organizing this. We expect to go in, sit down, listen, just like we're doing now, and then everything gets sorted out. But it doesn't work like that. With Work It Out, we turn the principle or the pyramid upside down. And when people join us, we say to them, now you're responsible. We want you to link up with somebody and create a little work piece. And then the following week, another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. So by the end of the process, the 6-week process, not only have they developed a whole network of new relationships, but they've actually got concrete things happening, work pieces that take them in the direction that they want to go. Dual responsibility is where you take responsibility for yourself and for everybody else. And the reason for this is most people are stuck in their own heads. They're playing the same tape over and over and over. I'm no good at this. I'll never get a job. I'll never find work. I don't know where I'm going to get money. Once you start thinking about other people and looking at other people's situation, you suddenly become creative. You become a problem solver. You become a consultant. You say, well, why aren't Patricia and Mel working together on this? Surely Pauline should be doing something with Andrea or whatever it happens to be. So it changes the whole dynamic of the support and resources that are there. We get people to use positive language right from the word go. So if you say you have a terrible memory, you will have a terrible memory, etc., etc. We get rid of words like I've only. We get rid of words like I'm just. So in other words, we change the way that people talk about themselves, think about themselves, and present themselves. We show people how to introduce themselves in a completely different way. We get people to write ebooks. Why? Because ebooks are the way that we harvest what we know. And we're all good at something. Childcare, dealing with cancer, finding work, whatever it happens to be. We all have skills, knowledge, and experience within us. We can all share that and help to build our confidence and promote whatever it is important to us. And we show people how to publish their books, a few of them there, and we make that happen with people during the first 6 weeks of the process. We show people how to segment and monetize. 2 brilliant American words that I love, because it shows you how to take something as simple as your core skill and create 30 services, products, opportunities, whatever you want to from this. And then we can show you from that how to build sustainable income. And finally, we talk about doing something every day, DSED, so that you keep control of this process. So that's a very, very quick sketch of the map. But the important thing to say about work pieces is work pieces are simply stepping stones. They help us to build our relationships, to build our network, to develop things that we're good at. And it's these work pieces that take us to where we're going. Whether you write an ebook or do a bit of part-time work, that is not the end result. It's simply a stepping stone along the journey. So finally, let me just talk briefly about the 7 stages of the Work It Out process and how we work with different people in different areas. We start with an online taster workshop, which is open for everybody. Excuse me. So typically, I would have 100 people or so on this session. It's a 2-hour session. People can then enroll for the 6-week process from this, and they can use the online training resources. The online training resources are free. They're on workitout.info now, and you can go and look at them anytime, and they'll take you through all the things that I've just briefly touched upon. The work that we do is free to everybody, and we're generously funded by a whole range of sources. Number 3, then, when people come on the program, they start to share their own experience through what we call Zoom seminars. So the participants become the deliverers of the program as well. We have coffee chats to keep people up to date. We have WhatsApp work groups to help people build their work pieces. And then after the 6-week process, individuals can join our colleagues program and continue to build the networks locally. And from that, then we develop local sustainability. So in a simple way, it's the taster workshop, it's the 6-week process supported by Zoom seminars, coffee chats, colleagues program, local network, and sustainability. Our participants at the moment, because we're funded at the moment through the Irish government directly, have come from Tipperary, rest of Ireland, rest of the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, GB, and internationally. So we get a really good mix there. So we're an outward looking program as opposed to something focused on a specific area with a specific problem. What's your age profile? Well, we cut it right across the board. So 10% of our people are over 60, 7% are under 25, and everything spread in between. So this is the 6-week process, weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we add in the Zoom seminars that people can then select which ones they'd like to go on. And these are all run by the participants themselves. And we show them how to do these, and they can choose which ones. And there's a fantastic selection. I'm not going to go through all of these, but just have a quick read of some of these. They're absolutely fantastic. And there's a few more. So people can actually start to develop skills and knowledge and experience in a very friendly way in little Zoom seminars. All the training notes are online, so have a quick look at those if you want to at workitout.info. And of course, I have to say a big thank you to the partners who have supported us over the last 10 years, from councils to government agencies, philanthropists, and indeed the people who've been on the program themselves. So a huge thank you to all of those. And the next Work It Out Taster workshop is on the 18th and 19th of January, and that's open to everybody. There's 100 places available on each one, and they are starting to fill up now. So again, if you're interested in any of those, then great. So that's it. That's the very quick overview, and